I'm signing up for a half marathon right now. Okay. I am registered.
Over the past few months, I've been training for this half marathon, and it's taught me so much about myself. It's taught me about running. It's taught me about fueling. I started as a complete beginner, someone who couldn't even run 3 miles without stopping, and I just want to share everything that I've learned on this journey.
One of the most important things is building a running schedule and then actually sticking to it. And I feel like this impacted my half marathon training the most because when I actually put it on my calendar, I knew it was a priority. I already had time blocked off for it. Basically just went on Google Calendar and I created another calendar and I just named it half marathon training, and I put everything in there. I put run clubs in there. I put strength training workouts. I put interval training. I put my long runs, and this was so helpful for helping me plan every single week because I knew what runs I had that week. My advice is if you're brand new to running and you want to train for something like a half marathon or even a marathon, give yourself enough time, because for me, I went from running no miles at all, literally not even 1 mile a week, to running 20 miles a week, and my body was kind of like, what's going on? And that's also why I injured my knee. So if you have time, easing into it a little bit more, I think would be better, and even doing like 5 miles a week, and then maybe 10 miles a week, and then maybe 15 miles a week, so that you're slowly building up and you're not just shocking your body by running so much every single week. I never thought I was the type of person to want to run a half marathon, so this is new for me and I am excited for this journey. I think it's always really fun to push yourself to a new goal and remind yourself that you're capable of doing anything. When I was training for my half marathon, one of the hardest things was figuring out how to fuel before my long runs. And I literally tried everything. I tried eating eggs, I tried eating sausage, I tried doing yogurt, I tried doing no food, I tried doing oats, I tried doing avocado toast. Like, I literally tried every single type of food, and so many of those foods made me get stomach cramps or made me just completely fatigued after like 5 miles. And I really learned a lot about food and fueling for workouts / runs through the process of training for this half marathon. Today I have my longest run yet. I'm following like a half marathon training program. So I'm basically doing like 3 shorter runs per week and then 1 really long run on Saturdays. And so today is going to be the longest run yet, and also the longest run that I've ever done, which is 8 miles. And I feel like I've been struggling a little bit before all of these runs because I've been experimenting with different breakfasts. Like, I've had eggs, I've had yogurt, I've had banana, and some things are making my stomach kind of like cramp up, and then some I feel really good and really fueled. So I'm gonna try something new today. I'm gonna use these instant oats, and I'm also going to have a banana and peanut butter. So I think this will stick to me really well throughout the 8 miles because I definitely don't want to like run out of energy halfway through or experience a bad stomach ache. What I've learned is that it's super important, especially when you're doing really long runs, to have carbs in your system. The reason that you want to eat carbohydrates before doing a long run or even like a really, really hard workout is because carbohydrates are your body's main fuel source. So basically your body stores carbohydrates as glycogen, and then as you run, your body reaches into those storage. And if you eat a lot of carbs before your run, you're going to have a lot of that stored. And so having enough glycogen in your system is going to prevent you from like hitting that wall, which was happening to me so much with different breakfasts that I was trying. I would run 5 miles, hit a wall, have no energy. My legs felt like they were 1,000,000 pounds. And so I found that making oats is the best fuel source for my body for these long runs. And that's exactly what I ate on race day. I used just instant oats so that they cooked really, really fast. And then in the oats, I'd mix in some brown sugar and then a little bit of peanut butter. And then on top, I would add either half of a banana or some berries. I'd also add some pumpkin seeds. I'd also add cashews if it's a really long run. And then I'd add a drizzle of honey. And this, I found, made my runs go amazing. I felt amazing. I had so much energy. I ran through that entire meal in my long runs, and I would be absolutely starving after my long runs, but I never hit a wall or felt like I didn't have enough energy. I had like just enough energy. So the night before the race, I also ate a carb heavy dinner. My fiance and I ended up going to an Italian restaurant and having pasta, which is honestly one of the best meals that you can have the night before a big race. And this is the same exact reason why we want to have carbohydrates in the morning, because our body is storing it as glycogen. And so for any run over 90 minutes, your body is tapping into these glycogen storages. So it's important that your body actually has it stored. If you do not have enough glycogen stored, you are going to have major energy fatigue, and it does not feel good. You do not want to do this. And so making sure that you're fueling your body properly is going to give you endurance throughout the entire race or throughout your entire long runs. If you're just starting running and you're just starting to enter into doing longer runs, I suggest first trying just a carb heavy breakfast, something that's not too heavy, that will sit nice. And then if you still feel like that wasn't enough, then maybe you take into account the night before what you're eating for dinner, just to make sure that you have enough energy to get through those runs.
I feel like you have different weeks when you're running. Some weeks where every single run that you do is super easy, and then some weeks where you struggle through even the short runs. And I feel like I'm having one of those weeks where I'm just struggling through all the runs. Today I was supposed to have a easy 4-mile run, and I was just struggling through it, and I was feeling sick, and I literally only got through 2 miles.
Before I go out on my run, I thought I would just go through all of the running gear that I've been using to train for my half marathon, and just things that I've accumulated while training for this. Having a good pair of polarized sunglasses is really helpful when you're running, so that the sun is not literally blinding you. I really like these mirrored kind, especially for a really sunny day. When you're out running, you're getting a lot of sun exposure, and I didn't actually quite realize how much sun I was getting until I was probably a month into my training. So now I do not leave the house without putting on sunscreen, and I put this all over my face, all over my neck, all over my chest, all over my shoulders, and a lot of times I'm wearing my little SPF jacket that's like SPF 50. But it's really important to protect your skin from the sun, because obviously most of the time we're running out in the sun and you can totally get sunburnt super easily. I've also been using an Apple Watch. I mainly am using Strava on the Apple Watch, and it's been so nice because I can just start the run on my watch, and then I don't need to bring my phone with me. My music connects through the watch, and also my Tesla will connect to my watch, so I can unlock my car this way. So I've really loved having this watch because I can obviously track my runs, see my mileage, see my time, see my heart rate, but I can also use it as a phone. I also can call from this if I get in an emergency. So I really like not always having to bring my phone on runs, even though a lot of times I am bringing my phone on runs because I'm trying to capture content, and obviously there's no camera on this watch. More recently, I got a pair of open earbuds. When I first started running, I was just wearing my AirPods, and that was 100% fine. But I noticed that AirPods, they kind of trap moisture inside of your ear, and I wasn't loving that feeling, and I felt like I was about to get an ear infection or something. So that's why I stopped wearing my AirPods, and I would just go on runs either without music or just play my music out loud. But I really like these open earbuds because you wear them and you can hear your surroundings. They're super comfortable, and you can also hear your music, so they're really, really easy to put on. You basically just take them and put them over your ear, and they also fit with sunglasses, which is amazing. I've also been wearing compression socks for pretty much all of my runs. The reason that you want to wear compression socks is because when you're running long distances, your feet swell, even your like fingers and your arms can swell, but your feet definitely swell. And so when you're wearing compression socks, it helps to keep the blood flow going to the feet. And then I also bought a pair of running shoes. I did buy these running shoes when I was in Copenhagen, and I actually did the conversion wrong, and so the shoes were a lot more expensive than I thought they were. Investing in a good pair of running shoes, and they don't have to be like the top of the line running shoes, but just investing in a good pair of running shoes is going to save your feet. It's also going to just like help you run better because the shoes are meant for running. I was also running in a pair of tennis shoes that are not really designed for running, and my long runs felt horrible. My feet would hurt, my legs would hurt, my legs literally felt like blocks. And so my advice for shoes is to find a local run store and to do a running test with them. A lot of run stores, they have treadmills, and you'll basically run on the treadmill and it will show you the way that your feet land during your run. And this way you can get shoes that support your stride. Obviously, running is one of those things where you don't need any equipment, which is super amazing. You can just go out with whatever you have and start running. But in my opinion, if you're going to start training for a half marathon or a full marathon, and you can only invest in one thing, I would invest in a good pair of shoes. The last thing that I've learned running is if you have long hair and you wear your hair in a high ponytail, it usually falls out. And then if you wear it in a low ponytail, it will get super tangly because it's just like dragging across your back. And so I found that the best way to style your hair is a low pony and then just lightly braid the rest of your hair. This helps my hair not get tangled at all when I'm running. If I don't do this, my hair is literally in knots and I have to wash my hair even after a short run. This will also protect whatever hairstyle you have going on that day because it's a loose braid, so it's not crimping your hair, especially if you use a hair tie that doesn't leave any crimps.
We're gonna take 2 seats on the black guy.
We are only 7 weeks away from the half marathon, and I can feel how much stronger my legs are every single run that I do. My endurance has definitely gone up a lot.
I'm definitely having mental moments where I'm like, can I do this? Am I capable? I mean, some weeks I'm feeling strong and I'm feeling like I'm a great runner, and then other weeks I struggle with really simple 3-mile runs. But what I am learning is if you just push through the hard weeks, you actually feel and get stronger the next week. Today was my first track interval workout, and so I was working on speed intervals and endurance around the track, and it was honestly really tough. This week, I also have my longest run yet coming up. It's a 9-mile run, and I'm definitely nervous for that. My 8-mile run 2 weeks ago was the hardest run that I've ever done. Today, I have my 9-mile run, and I've never gotten nervous for runs, but today I am like so nervous for some reason. I am not gonna bring my phone. I experimented with this last time because I just got an Apple Watch and it's been so amazing to not have to run with my phone. Obviously, I can't capture content when I don't have like a camera or a phone with me, but for these really, really long runs, it's been really nice to be like undistracted and just focus on like the task ahead of me because it still is a big physical challenge for me. That's the plan. I think this is going to take me like an hour and a half. My plan is to like start the run slow and then speed up as I warm up. I feel like the days that I start too fast, where like I start running like less than 9-minute miles, it just gets like progressively worse. So I want to kind of like go for a new strategy. I just was jamming out to long run music on Apple Music, so time to get this party started. It's crazy how some long runs are so hard and then some are so easy. So I did 9.1 miles, running average pace 9:52 per mile. So I ran it in like an hour and 30 minutes. But I had such a fun run because I was 3 miles into my run and someone taps me on the shoulder, and it was one of the girls that I met at Run Club. And I was like, how many miles are you running? And she was like, oh, I'm running 6 miles. And I was like, no way, I have 6 miles left in my 9-mile run. So we ended up running the entire run together, and it just made it so fun and go by so fast. I did end up running really far away from my car and had to walk 3 miles back. It was the first time in my half marathon training that I've actually felt like capable of running it. I feel like some weeks I just have bad weeks where I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know what I did. Why did I sign up for this? And this week was almost like a reassurance of like, you can do this, you're capable, because I easily could have run 4 more miles today, and that would have been the entire half marathon. And so I'm really just trusting the process because every single week I'm getting so much stronger physically and mentally. I've been taking a lot more rest days than I initially planned, and even more rest days than I even want to take. But I'm trying to listen to my body, and I do think that I overtrained my knee. And so I think that rest is super important to be able to actually run the half marathon. Right now, my knee is just swollen, and I am doing heat therapy, I'm doing ice therapy, but the swelling is really not going away. So I'm just trying to be really patient. Every time I do my long runs, they go fine. Nothing hurts. Obviously, I would stop if something was hurting, but it's always when I get home and I like sit down, I realize that my knee actually hurts. But I'm just trying to be kind to myself because sometimes rest is needed to get stronger. And I'm not a professional runner. I did this challenge to prove to myself that I could do something hard. And sometimes even just resting is like hard, especially as someone who sometimes looks at rest as like a bad thing. But rest is not a bad thing. We're now only 5 weeks out from the half marathon. Last week I didn't train at all, and it's because I developed runner's knee. So basically my left knee was super swollen. It became like the size of a grapefruit, and it didn't hurt when I put pressure on it, but I knew it would hurt if I started running. And so I decided to give my body an entire week to rest and recover and not run at all. I did no leg workouts. I just did like upper body and resting. And so I'm a little bit nervous because I have seen how the consistency has like built into this momentum, but I also understand the importance of rest. So I'm just trying to be positive. So today I have my first run back after a week of taking off. It's just an easy 4-mile run. And then on Saturday, I am supposed to be doing an 11-mile run. So that will be the longest run so far. I did skip a long run last week. I skipped a 10-mile run, and hopefully that doesn't hurt the progress too much. One thing that I did not do when I first started running was do any type of stretching or prioritize any type of stretching. And it was my biggest regret in my whole entire training, because by not stretching, you can get shin splints, you can also get runner's knee, and it's just not good to not stretch. And so I think I've gotten a good stretching routine down to stretch out my calves and stretch out my hamstrings. And I'll do different stretches before I run versus after I run, and I'll show you both because both of them are just as equally important. After my long runs, I will use this to roll out my calves. And then depending on how I'm feeling, I might also use this massage gun. Stretching really is one of the most important parts of training because if you're not stretching, you're going to become tight. 90% of runners who get injured because they're not properly stretching. And stretching is really boring. Like, nobody wants to do stretching, but you have to do stretching. I also do a little bit more basic stretches, like just reaching for my toes and then doing it to each side and just stretching out my legs that way. Just doing these stretches, I can feel how tight my hamstrings are. After your runs, you wanna walk for at least 10 minutes. If you go from a long run to sitting at your desk all day, you have a lot of lactic acid built up in your legs, and you really want that lactic acid to go back into your bloodstream. If it just sits in your legs all day, basically slows down your recovery process and you might get more sore or feel a lot more tightness. So it's really important to walk after your runs. I think of it as like a cool down moment, and usually I plan my runs around this. So if I'm running 5 miles, I'll run like 3 miles away and then 2 miles back, and then I'll walk 1 mile back to my car. But not skipping the walk after your run is going to help prevent you from getting sore from these runs also. My dog has lost this at the moment, but a lot of times I'll also roll out my feet on a tennis ball after my runs. When I was first running, I felt a lot of soreness in my feet. I don't really feel that now, but I did really feel that in the beginning, and I would always just kind of stand on a tennis ball and move it back and forward, and it really helped just kind of like massage my foot. This week I started to notice some shin splints, and I think it's because I wasn't stretching enough, and so I just spent the last 30 minutes stretching for this run because I definitely don't want to get any shin splints. I've just been stretching out my calves, and I even rolled it out on a tennis ball yesterday. Yesterday, I went to a run club and everyone there was using Strava, and I was like, okay, I think I need to switch. So this will be my first run today using Strava, and I'm really excited. Honestly, I hate running on a treadmill. It's so freaking boring. And I also didn't realize how much I sweat until I was like 2.5 miles in and just absolutely dripping sweat. So I'm so happy that's over. We are in the final week of training for the half marathon. We're only 4 days away. I cannot believe it. I'm so nervous and I'm excited. This week is basically a rest week. So I have 2 short, easy runs that are just 3 miles each. And then every single day I have just been doing a lot of stretching. I want to make sure that my hamstrings are nice and stretched out and my calves are really loose. I'm not going to do any strength training this week because I don't want to become sore. This week, I feel like I'm just trusting the process. I'm trusting the entire training program. I still haven't run 13 miles. So on Sunday, when I run 13 miles, it'll be my first time ever running it. And I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling nervous. I'm just trying to remove any doubt that I have from my mind of like, you can't do this, and just turn it into, you're ready for this, you've trained for this. I feel like I've learned so much about myself through this entire training process. I've learned so much about how to fuel for runs. I've learned how to listen to my body. I've learned how to push towards a goal. I've learned how to rest, and sometimes rest is what's needed to improve. I've also just learned about staying consistent, and like some weeks you have a bad week where every single run goes pretty bad, and some weeks you have great weeks where you feel like you could be a professional runner. And so I'm so grateful for this entire training process, and I'm so grateful for this experience to do this. I guess the next time that I see you guys will be race morning.